hunting knife for a guy named Nick. I don't know if that's his real name or just a nickname. But let's proceed. Nick was kind enough to provide me with this leaf spring. I'm cutting just a little bit off. We're not going to need much to make a hunting knife. That's about all we're going to need, I think. This stuff moves pretty beautifully under the power hammer. And it doesn't take long to start stretching and narrowing it out, getting it to look a little more like a knife. I'm bringing a bit of a point down. Now I'm going to take that point and use the horn of the anvil to bring it around. Pull out a little tab on the back, pull out a little tab on the front. Start to shape that harpoon-style clip point. Make sure it's flat. I actually ended up with a little more tang than I'm going to need, so I'm going to get rid of that. Start drawing this down into just a little bitty rat tail style tang, because this is going to be what they call a hidden tang knife. So that means, unlike a full tang knife, it's going to be, the tang of the blade is going to be completely buried and mounted inside the handle material. Grinding a bit of an edge bevel on there. I don't want to grind it too thin because we have to heat treat it. If you make it too thin, it can warp or crack when we go to quench it. Quenching being the process by which we will harden the blade. I'm going to polish just the spot where we're going to put the maker's mark stamp. Don't believe I showed that in the video, but you basically stamp it. And now we go in for the oil quench to harden the blade. Now, it'll come out of this oil pretty brittle, so we're going to need to put it in the oven for a couple hours, soften it up just a little bit, give it that good flexibility, make sure it's not going to break when it's in use. Now that we've done that, we're going to go back over here to the belt sander. Now is the time to get those hollow grinds nice and thin. These polishing wheels will help to get a satin finish on the blade. They're made of felt. They're covered in a horse-based glue and then rolled in abrasive grain. Gives a real nice smooth finish. I'm going to make sure that little rat tail tang is down to exactly 3/8 thickness so that it fits into this dowel rod that I have split. I'll show you why I'm doing that in a little bit. But first we're going to mill some brass. Milling machine puts a nice little slot in there. I'm trying to make sure it is just exactly the right size. Tidying up the corners of the slot with the file. Moving on to silver soldering. I don't have great footage of this process, but basically we're just trying to get everything up to temperature. Apply some silver solder. Now Nick gave me this nice piece of deer antler, and my task now is to use that 3/8 bit to bore it out, hollow it out. Now this is where that wooden dowel rod comes in handy. See, that split dowel rod is going to accept the tang. It fits perfectly into the hole. It's just a lot easier to do it this way than to try to make a slot, a square-sided slot through a piece of antler or whatever you're using. The little vulcanized fiber liners will add a little bit of visual flair to it when it's all complete. I've got to get everything covered with glue. Now, a second part of that soldering process was actually softening the tang. That allowed me to drill a hole through it, through all layers, through the antler, through the wooden dowel, and through the steel itself, allowing me to put a brass pin in there, just make sure that tang is not going anywhere. Grinding and sanding all the parts flush and smooth with each other. The slack belt is helpful in getting those nice smooth curves. This nylon fiber brush wheel will help me to finalize my satin finish on the blade before I move over to this loose cotton buffing wheel to shine up the antler. I'm sharpening the way I normally do a 120 belt, followed by a 400 belt, and finishing it off with the very same wheel, just without a belt on it. It's just a felt wheel. I'm going to rub some green compound on and get that final shiny and scary sharp edge on that knife. You can see how well that cuts. Anyway, thanks to Nick for a great project, and thank all of you for watching.